There is a moment in life when the world becomes silent, not because the noise has disappeared, but because something inside you stops struggling. Most people never touch that moment. They rush, they worry, they fight, they cling. But the Sufi tells us what you seek is seeking you. And suddenly everything you thought you were chasing was only a mirror of what you already are. You are not here to win. You are here to remember. Let's slow down together. You have searched for meaning, for clarity, for purpose, for some soft truth hidden behind your everyday thoughts. You've tried being stronger, smarter, calmer, better. You've read the books, watched the tutorials, followed the steps. Maybe it helped on the surface, but deep down, very deep down, there is still that quiet ache, the ache of not quite feeling arrived, because the ache of trying to hold everything together, the ache of wanting peace without knowing where peace exists. The Sufis call this the inner desert, a vast dry place where nothing seems to satisfy. You may know it as overthinking, as anxiety, as longing, as loneliness, even in a crowded room. And yet here is the paradox. The desert is not punishment. The desert is invitation, because in the desert there is nothing you can distract yourself with. And so, for the first time, you begin to see yourself clearly. Most people turn away at this point. They fill the emptiness with noise, plans, goals, self-improvement, escape. But you are here now, listening, which means something in you is ready, and that readiness is the doorway. There is a famous Sufi teaching: you contain within you a hidden treasure, and the purpose of life is to reveal it. Notice it does not say to invent it, not to create it, not to chase it, but to reveal what has always been there. You spend so much time polishing your outer world, your achievements, your image, your identity. But the Sufi whispers, the real polishing is within. Imagine a mirror covered in dust. You look into it and see a distorted reflection. You panic, thinking the distortion is you. You start fixing the surface of life: more accomplishments, more possessions, more approval. But the distortion isn't who you are, it is only the dust. The mirror itself, the essence of you, has always been flawless. Your fear, your doubt, your confusion are not signs of being broken, they are dust on the mirror. And the Sufi lesson that changes everything is this: you do not need to become anything, you only need to uncover what you already are. The ego says, I must win, I must prove, I must earn, I must control. The awakened heart says, I already am, I am allowed to rest in my own truth. This shift from striving to remembering is the beginning of real peace, because what causes your suffering is not lack of perfection, it is forgetting your wholeness. So, how do you remember? You don't force it, you don't chase it, you don't struggle your way into enlightenment. You simply begin by doing one small thing: you pause, not to escape, not to shut down, but to see. Take a moment to breathe. Feel the belly soften, feel the shoulders release. Feel the thoughts floating in the space of your awareness. Then tell yourself gently, almost like speaking to a child, I am here. I am enough. I can rest. In Sufi practice, there is a method called zikr, remembrance. It is not chanting, it is not ritual, it is not performance. It is simply the act of remembering that you are not separate from the source of life. You can do it in silence. You can do it in the middle of washing dishes. You can do it in the moment before sleep. It doesn't matter how. It matters only that you return. Because the secret is this: you don't have to fix your life to find peace. You find peace, and then life begins to rearrange itself. Let me leave you with this seed of truth. You are the treasure you've been digging for, all the searching, all the striving, all the comparing. They were only preparing you for this moment of remembering. So breathe. Let the mind soften. Let the heart open just a little. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not incomplete. The mirror is clearing. The desert is blooming. And what you seek has been waiting for you all along. There comes a moment when you stop asking life to change and begin to ask yourself to see more clearly. Most people miss this moment, not because they are unwilling, but because they are distracted by everything that is not real. The Sufi does not ask you to become spiritual. The Sufi asks you to become honest, honest with your longing, honest with your fear, honest with the treasure buried beneath both. Let's slow down again. You've had days where everything feels complicated. You've had nights where the mind refuses to rest, thinking in loops, replaying conversations, imagining futures that never come true. And maybe you've noticed something. The more you try to control life, the heavier life feels. There is pressure to be someone, to succeed, to stand out, to make your mark, to stay relevant, to stay strong. And somewhere between all that pressure, you become disconnected from yourself. You forget how to be simple. You forget how to be present. You forget how to breathe in your own skin. The mind becomes a noisy room, and the heart becomes a quiet guest waiting to be noticed. The Sufi does not shame this. The Sufi understands it. They know the mind believes it is protecting you. They know the ego thinks it is necessary, but they also know something deeper. Your suffering is not caused by reality. It is caused by your resistance to reality. When you rush, you resist. When you cling, you resist. When you overthink, you resist. Peace cannot land in a mind that is constantly running. It needs stillness, like a bird needs a branch. In Sufi teaching, there is a profound realization. The door you are trying to open is already open. We don't suffer because the truth is complicated. We suffer because we ignore what is simple. For example, you seek love, but if someone truly loves you, they are not loving you because of your achievements, your success, your image. They love you for the feeling of you, for your presence, for your essence. Yet how much of your life is spent trying to become worthy? Worthiness is not something you earn, it is something you remember. That is the Sufi lesson. There is an ancient metaphor. Imagine you are holding a cup full of muddy water. You could try to purify it by stirring it, by shaking it, by forcing the dirt to disappear. But the Sufi says, put the cup down and the mud will settle by itself. This is not laziness, this is wisdom. Some truths do not need effort, only allowing. Some healing does not need force, only space. Some questions do not need answers, only quiet. You do not need to finish every thought. You do not need to solve every problem. You do not need to know the future before you can rest. The awakened one is not the person who has mastered life. It is the person who has stopped struggling with life. Here is a shift you can use today, even right now. Instead of trying to control your thoughts, simply stop believing every thought. Let them pass like clouds. Let them form, dissolve, drift, return, leave. The moment you stop fusing with a thought, you reclaim your awareness. Awareness is bigger than the mind. Awareness is the sky. Thoughts are just passing weather. Try this practice, it's very gentle. When a stressful thought arises, don't fight it. Don't push it away. Just notice it. Tell yourself with kindness, this is only a cloud. I am the sky. Feel how the thought loses its grip. Your identity shifts from the storm to the space in which storms come and go. That single shift breaks the spell of suffering. This is remembrance. This is in a zikr, not a chant, but a returning. Returning from anxiety into clarity, returning from illusion into presence, returning from thought into awareness. Awareness changes everything, not because it solves life, but because it makes life simple again. So as you sit wherever you are, alone or among others or in the quiet of your own heart, let this sink in. You are not meant to overpower life. You are meant to flow with it. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not incomplete. You are simply remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And in this remembering, something beautiful happens. The world softens. The mind quiets. The heart begins to glow, because what you have been seeking is not outside of you. It is the stillness, the presence, the awareness. That has always been your home. And there is a quiet moment in the spiritual journey where you realize that the thing you feared the most, silence, stillness, surrender, was not a void, but a doorway. A doorway not into emptiness, but into the deepest fullness you've ever known. This is where the Sufi lesson reveals its true power. You've been trained your whole life to move forward, to build, to achieve, to strive, to pursue. It's not your fault. It's the conditioning of the human world, the world of effort. But there is a cost. When existence becomes a chase, presence becomes impossible, and presence is the only place you truly meet yourself. Think about this. Most of your emotional exhaustion does not come from what you are doing, but from what you are resisting. You aren't tired because life is too much. You're tired because you resist what is happening inside you, resisting sadness, resisting uncertainty, resisting vulnerability, resisting rest, and then paradoxically resisting your own resistance. And the Sufi whispers, what you deny imprisons you, what you accept transforms you. You might have moments where you feel like you are losing control, but what if what you are losing is not control, but the illusion of control, and that illusion has been causing your suffering? There is a profound Sufi teaching. You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean in a drop. At first, it sounds poetic, almost mystical, but it is actually psychological clarity. You keep imagining you are a small thing, pushed around by life, uncertain, unstable, easily threatened, but you are not small. What you truly are, awareness, cannot be damaged, cannot be diminished, cannot be controlled. The things that get hurt are temporary, your image, your expectations, your beliefs. Those things are not you, they are clothes you are wearing. And here is the lesson that changes everything. The ego is terrified of losing control, but the soul has never wanted control. The soul wants freedom. Control binds you. Freedom opens you. Control tightens you. Freedom softens you. Control makes you rigid. Freedom makes you alive. The Sufi path is not discipline, not doctrine, not dogma. It is surrender to reality, not the surrender of defeat, the surrender of alignment. A leaf floating downstream is not defeated by the river, it is carried by the river. And life, like the river, knows the way long before you do. The Sufi understands. If reality is unfolding, it is already trustworthy. This leads to a deeply practical realization. You can soften your inner world without changing your outer world. Right now, as you listen, You could allow one tight thought to relax. You could allow one expectation to fall away. You could allow one fear to loosen its grip. Not because you solved it, but because you stopped wrestling with it. Here is a small practice you can use anytime, especially when you feel overwhelmed. The Sufi pause. Pause whatever story the mind is telling, not by silencing it, just by stepping back. Feel your breath like a feather in your chest, gentle, unforced. Ask yourself, what if nothing is wrong in this moment? Not tomorrow, not next year, just this moment, and you will notice your nervous system releases something ancient. This pause is the doorway into peace, because peace is not a future goal. Peace is a state you remember. The Sufis mastered the art of remembering. Zikr is not chanting to God, it is remembering you are not separate from God. And when you remember that nothing in life feels as threatening, life becomes intimate, life becomes a companion, life becomes a teacher, and the lesson is always love. So as you sit with these words, maybe feeling the breath settle, maybe sensing something new inside you opening, let this truth land gently. You do not need to control life to be safe. You only need to remember who you truly are. You are not the anxious thought. You are the awareness holding the thought. You are not the broken identity. You are the consciousness witnessing it. You are not the wave struggling in the sea. You are the sea itself. And once you see, this peace ceases to be something you chase. It becomes something you inhabit, like a home you had forgotten but never truly lost. There is a moment in every awakening when you realize the problem was never life, never fate, never destiny. It was simply the way you were looking. And when the seeing shifts, everything shifts with it. Not because things changed externally, but because you finally stopped fighting reality. This is the doorway Sufi wisdom opens. Let's return to that place within you, that temple of breath and silence. You've lived long enough to know that nothing external satisfies permanently. Success feels good, but fades. Praise is sweet, but fleeting. Even love, when held tightly, becomes fragile. And so there is a quiet hunger within you, a hunger not for possessions or achievements or recognition, but for understanding. Understanding of who you truly are, understanding of why you are here, understanding of what all this means, and even deeper than understanding, there is a longing for peace, not the peace of a quiet room, not the peace of vacation, not the peace of everything going right, but the peace of being aligned with yourself, the peace of not needing anything to be different, the peace of resting in your own being. And yet, here is the irony. You have been trying to earn peace as if peace is a reward, but peace is not earned. Peace is uncovered. Peace is what remains when you stop resisting what is. The Sufi path does not teach you how to escape life. It teaches you how to fall in love with life. Even the parts that look imperfect, there is a teaching: whatever you run from runs after you. Whatever you embrace transforms. You have spent years running from discomfort, running from uncertainty, running from vulnerability. But what if discomfort is not the enemy? What if uncertainty is not punishment? What if vulnerability is not weakness? What if everything you've been avoiding is actually guiding you? The Sufi doesn't see pain as something to escape. They see pain as a doorway to deeper truth, because pain strips away illusion. Pain breaks the armor of the ego. Pain reveals the heart. And when the heart opens, wisdom floods in. This is why so many awakenings begin in heartbreak, confusion, or surrender. Because when you stop pretending you are fine, you finally meet yourself. And the Sufi sees that moment as sacred. So, how do we bring this into daily life? How do we transform suffering into growth, confusion into clarity, fear into freedom? Here is a simple but profound shift. Instead of trying to avoid discomfort, get curious about it. If sadness arises, ask gently, what is this sadness trying to show me? If fear arises, what part of me is asking to be understood? If anger arises, what wound is seeking compassion, not judgment? This is not analysis. This is presence with honesty. The Sufi method is not solving emotion, it is listening to emotion. Because all emotion, when heard, softens. All pain, when welcomed, begins to dissolve. You don't need to fix your feelings, you need to meet them. This is inner alchemy. Alchemists never added gold to metal. They removed everything that was not gold. And you do not add peace to your life. You remove everything that blocks peace: expectation, resistance, self judgment, illusion. This is how spiritual transformation happens, not by force, but by gentle honesty. So let this truth land softly inside you. You don't heal by becoming better. You heal by becoming real. You don't awaken by escaping. You awaken by embracing. You don't find peace by controlling life. You find peace by aligning with life. You are not here to perfect your identity. You are here to remember your essence. You are not here to chase yourself. You are here to find the stillness within yourself. This realization that nothing needs to change for you to be whole is the moment everything begins to change. Because when the heart stops resisting, life stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher, a companion, a gentle mirror of truth. There is a moment, quiet and tender, when the search ends. Not because all your questions have been answered, but because the need for answers dissolves. A moment where you breathe differently, not out of fear, not out of effort, but out of presence. This is the moment when the Sufi lesson becomes real, when you no longer seek peace outside, because you are resting in the peace within. Think of all the years of effort, the internal battles, the silent breakdowns, the pretending to be stronger than you felt. Think of the nights you couldn't sleep because your mind refused to loosen its grip or your heart was heavy with what you could not name. Think of the patterns you repeated, not because you wanted to, but because you didn't know another way. There is no shame in any of it. Your suffering was never a flaw. It was never a failure. It was never a sign of weakness. It was a part of the story that brought you here, to this moment of remembering. You've carried burdens, beliefs, expectations, and unspoken fears. But now you're beginning to see the truth. You were never meant to carry all of that alone. You were never meant to hold everything together. You were never meant to prove your worth. Your worth is your nature. Your peace is your birthright. Your wholeness is your forgotten memory. And now something in you is waking up to that. There is a final Sufi insight that opens the heart completely. The truth is not somewhere else. It is hiding behind your own breath. This means the greatest discovery is not found in books or teachers or philosophy. It is found in your own awareness. You are not the seeker. You are the discovery. You are not the traveler. You are the destination. You are not the lost one. You are the one who forgot they were home. When the Sufi speaks of God, they do not speak of something far away, distant, external, unreachable. They speak of the presence inside your awareness, the presence that watches your thoughts, the presence that witnesses your feelings, the presence that has never left you. You think you have felt alone, but the presence has always been there. Or you think you have been broken, but the presence has always been whole. You think you have failed, but the presence has never known failure. The ego breaks, the awareness never does. The identity struggles, the awareness simply sees. The mind fears, the awareness embraces. And when you realize this, your suffering loses its power, not because life becomes perfect, but because you no longer mistake the temporary for the eternal. You realize, I am not the storm, I am the sky. So, what does this mean for your daily life? How do you carry the Sufi lesson into ordinary moments? Here is a simple practice, so subtle that it becomes transformative, the practice of returning. When you catch yourself lost in thought, return to awareness, not by force, just by noticing. When you feel anxiety arise, return to presence, not by resisting, just by observing. When you feel unworthy, return to your heart, not by judging, just by remembering. Every time you return, you polish the inner mirror. The mirror does not need to be made, it only needs to be uncovered. And slowly, the dust of old beliefs, old wounds, old fears dissolves, not through effort, through awareness. You do not become enlightened. You remove what blocks the light, and the light has always been yours. So let us close not with an ending, but with a soft beginning. A beginning where you no longer run from yourself. A beginning where you no longer struggle to be someone. A beginning where you no longer burden your heart with expectations. You can breathe now. You can rest now. You can trust now, because you have remembered something ancient. You are not separate from existence. You are woven into it. The peace you longed for was never outside you. It was inside you, waiting for your return. The love you searched for was never missing. It was buried beneath layers of forgetting. The clarity you sought was never far. It was the quiet echo of your own awareness. So walk gently, not because you are fragile, but because life is sacred. Speak kindly, not because others need it, but because your soul blossoms in kindness. Love deeply, not because you fear losing, but because love is your nature. And remember the Sufi lesson that changes everything. You are what you have been seeking. You are the treasure. You are the home. You are the ocean in a drop. Breathe into that truth. Let it settle in your bones, and let your life unfold from this remembering.